You're listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. The show that gives pastors and church leaders the clarity they need to protect their people, property, and ministry.
Welcome back to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. I'm your host, Ron Wadley with Insurance for Texans. We help church leaders protect their people and property with wisdom and clarity. We are moving into part 4 of our 5-part series on church safety. Today, we are answering the budget-breaking question that keeps many elder boards up at night. How do you properly train an armed safety team without draining your church's bank account or triggering an insurance nightmare? Phil adjusted his tie as the knot was feeling a little too tight in the stuffy conference room at his Midland church. He looked across the oak table at the church's finance committee. The members were all thinking through what Phil had just presented. As a retired oil field supervisor, Phil had a real heart for service. He had just laid out a proposal to form an official volunteer church security team. In all of his research, Phil had found several ways to accomplish his goal of protecting the church, but his first proposal had a hefty price tag. It was a plan to send a dozen volunteers to a top-tier private tactical academy that cost thousands of dollars per person. The committee's chair shook his head with regret. Phil, we just can't afford this. We'd have to cut the youth mission trip or put off the new sound system. And honestly, our insurance guy would get hives just talking about the liability. But Phil's second proposal completely flipped the script. In all of his research, he discovered that his church's insurance agency offered a more affordable solution. Insurance for Texans and the United States Concealed Carry Association formed a partnership that solved Phil's dilemma. When the committee heard this plan, their ears perked up. Through this partnership, the church doesn't have to send people away to an expensive academy. Instead, USCCA offers ongoing training through their expert framework. A certified instructor uses the USCCA curriculum to train your church security team. This systematic approach is much better stewardship than relying on a bunch of volunteers who took a license to carry course. The reality is that a basic Texas license to carry is severely inadequate preparation for a volunteer church security team. While an LTC satisfies state law for individual self-defense, it was never designed to prepare a volunteer for defending a congregation in a complex, crowded public space. The LTC class doesn't cover team skills like verbal de-escalation techniques, working as a coordinated unit, or neutralizing a threat without causing more harm. Relying solely on an LTC is like asking a driver's ed student to pilot a commercial airliner. On the other hand, the USCCA curriculum provides a consistent, verifiable training framework that church boards and insurance carriers can actually trust. It establishes a uniform standard where everyone on your team learns the exact same tactics, terminology, and rules of engagement. Furthermore, it turns training into a regular, recurring process rather than an expensive one-off event. Insurance underwriters require this kind of ongoing, documented training to prove a serious commitment to risk management and preserve your church's insurability. But the point that truly turned the tide for Phil's finance committee was the individual legal defense protection. While Texas state law provides some liability protection for volunteer security members in houses of worship, it does not stop a civil lawsuit. If a volunteer has to use force, both that individual and the church can face devastating legal ramifications. And a standard general liability policy often leaves individual volunteers personally exposed. Through the USCCA membership, every volunteer who joins gains independent access to vital legal defense resources, including upfront attorney retainers and civil suit defense funding. This creates a powerful financial backstop completely independent of the church's policy, protecting the volunteer's family and shielding the church from secondary liability. By replacing upfront tactical academy costs with a manageable budget-friendly membership to the USCCA, the committee could finally approve a plan that enhanced their safety and their insurance alignment at the same time. Your church deserves the same peace of mind. Your security volunteers need real protection, and your church's budget requires a plan that makes sense. If you are ready to implement a standardized, insurer-approved safety curriculum that protects your people and your mission, connect with our team today at insurancefortexans.com. And to get the complete framework for modern church risk management, download your free copy of our book, The Promise of Certainty, at thepromiseofcertainty.com. I'm Ron Wadley, and this has been Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance, Protecting Texas Churches. Until next time, remember, your church's mission is too important to leave to chance.
Thanks for listening to Faith, Stewardship, and Insurance. Until next time, remember, insurance isn't just about policies. It's about safeguarding the mission God has called you to lead.